When I tell you that was one of the most excruciating experiences I've ever had watching a baseball game, I am not lying. I'm not exaggerating. I am not trying to be funny. I truly have never had so much angst and anxiety and rage just watching that baseball game. That was just flat out embarrassing. And now here's what you'll say. Here's what some Tiger fans will say. Well, they played a long game. The pitching was elite, which it was. Pitching was elite. They had so many opportunities. They were just getting so close, and they had the lead late in that game, and then they lose it on a base hit. They were in that game all the way through, almost twice the length of a normal game. They were bringing in Jack Flaherty to be your bullpen arm. Here's what I'll say. Look at the box score of this game and tell me this is a success, all right? Do you think it's a success, for example, for your lead home run hitter, one of your best hitters in your lineup, to go 0 for 5? You think that's a success? I don't think so. With a walk. Not like, 1 for 5. I would rather 1 for 5. At least it gets a ball on the green grass. 0 for 5. With a walk and a strikeout. So the walk and the strikeout pretty much average out. In the postseason, Riley Green batted a grand smacking total of 212, 621 OPS. Absolutely putrid. Completely useless in the postseason. A net negative to your team in the postseason. Speaking of net negatives, Spencer Torkelson. Another terrible postseason for him. Well, I guess he didn't really do much last postseason. 188 average, 578 OPS, and in a winner-take-all game, goes 0 for 6 with 4, count them, 4 strikeouts. But wait, there's more. Colt Keith, another one of your young core players, your designated hitter for the night, went a solid 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. His batting average in the postseason, 0.67 with a 243 OPS. Now, if I would have told you his average was 243, you would have said, oh, that's not great, but that's all right. No, that's his OPS. That's his on-base plus slugging percentage. Absolutely terrible. And, of course, you have bad stuff from Zach McKinstry, Parker Meadows, whatever. Like, I can't get that mad if Zach McKinstry is not playing well in the postseason. He's never been that kind of a player to play well in the postseason. I can be disappointed in a guy like Gleyber Torres, who batted 235 in the postseason with a 698 OPS, and also, by the way, went 0 for 5. You're noticing a theme here, okay? The Tigers, outside of Javi Baez, who had a great postseason, 808 OPS, he had multiple big-time hits with runners in scoring position, hits for, home runs, balls going all the way out of the yard. He was fine. Javi was Javi. I can't get mad at him. I can't get mad at every other player, because this lineup, and this is your postseason lineup. These are supposed to be your best guys. And I'm sorry, as far as AJ Hinch goes, the idea that you didn't pinch hit any one of these guys throughout the entire game in 15 innings, you're telling me there was no point where you thought Jahmai Jones would have been a better at-bat than Colt Keith or Andy Ibanez or Wenzel Perez? I mean, I'm not saying any one of those 3 guys are going to give you a much better shot than Keith, Torkelson, Green, whomever. But clearly Keith doesn't have it. He could have been playing through an injury. I don't know how fully healthy he was. But the reality is, you let a guy, a second-year player go 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, and seemingly there was no desire to bring in a fresh bat in that spot when the Mariners were strained on pitching. Completely unforgivable. Completely unforgivable. And it makes it all the more agonizing because Skubal pitched a masterclass. Skubal is so freaking good. And he deserved to at least win one of his 2 starts of the series. You lose one of your really good starts, okay, that's fine. I can live with that. You lose 2, now I'm getting upset. And you could see that I'm upset. Now, I went over a lot of that postseason stuff, or a lot of the postseason stats, rather, to illuminate what I think should be very, very obvious to this front office, to AJ Hinch, and to the players on the field. You don't have the bats. You don't. You know what the difference between you and Seattle was? Seattle has a guy named Jorge Polanco. They have a guy named Julio Rodriguez. They have a guy named Cal Raleigh. They have a guy named Josh Naylor. I'd take any one of those guys. And granted, Polanco, in general, has not been great in the postseason. Rodriguez, in general, hasn't been great in the postseason. But I would take any number of those guys on my lineup over Colt Keith, Zach McKinstry, or Parker Meadows. I just would. Like, and you would be lying to yourself if you're saying you wouldn't. Like, if you had a choice between Julio Rodriguez or Parker Meadows as your center fielder, only an idiot would take Parker Meadows. Clearly, that, quarter of a season he had last year, that is not indicative of the kind of major league player he is, because now we got about, two quarters. I mean, he had trouble staying healthy, so there's that. The point being, you need to fix this whole lineup, okay? You need to upgrade this lineup. Scott Harris, Jeff Greenberg, whatever, I think that's his name. You have to go out and acquire not just one on a one-year deal like Gleyber Torres. You need a guy that is going to be a steady vet, big name bat. Or I even forget the big name. You need a productive bat to add to this lineup, because clearly Riley Green isn't ready to lead this lineup as a superstar hitter. Clearly Colt Keith is not ready. Clearly Spencer Torkelson is not ready. You need the equivalent of the 2006's Pudge Rodriguez or a Maglio Ordonez. You need one of those kind of big name. Again, I use the phrase big name because usually they are big names. You need that kind of a big presence to where opponents look at the lineup, and when the next guy comes up, you're like, I don't want to. That guy scares me. I felt like that basically every at bat. It was like, okay, finally, we're at the middle part of their order. We got through the top. We got through a Rosarena. We got through Raleigh. Got through Rodriguez. Still got to deal with Eugenio Suarez. Still got to deal with Josh Naylor. Still got to deal with Jorge Polanco. Like, we just don't have, even at the bottom, still have to deal with JB Crawford. Like, this Tiger lineup is just not good enough. And as far as whether this season was a success or not, because that's obviously the discussion that really should be had at the end of every season, was the season a success? Undoubtedly, no. How could you say this is a success? You got to the exact same point you were last year, and you lost. You didn't win the division, so you got nothing, no banner to put up. You didn't go beyond in the playoffs. You didn't get a higher seeding in the playoffs. You didn't get a home field event. You were the exact same spot. The same seeding, the same length of time that you played. You played 3 games in the wild card last year. You played 5 games in the wild card this year. I think you played 3 games in the wild. Or maybe you might have swept Houston. I don't remember. You could have swept Houston. Either way, you didn't make progress. And again, I was not expecting the Tigers to win the World Series this year. But what I was expecting, and what I think most fans should expect, is that each and every year you get better in some way. You make your chances of winning a World Series higher. Like, if the plan is that we're just going to run it out, we're just going to let it play out and let, the young prospects come up and develop and okay, that might be a long-term plan, but that we don't have long-term to deal with. Skubal, assuming you don't get this guy signed by the end of next year, is a free agent. Then you're out your best pitcher, and all of a sudden now here comes your young core of hitters. You want to expedite this thing? Start bringing guys in. Start showing Skubal, hey, we're going to be winning here for a long time. Because all he has known is either mediocre baseball or bad baseball. Since he's been on this team, the team has either sucked or made the playoffs but didn't go very far. And outside of him, like, who do you got? Are other teams really terrified of having to face Casey Mize or Jack Flaherty or Reese Olson or Jackson Jobe? None of those guys have shown the ability to be a first, top of your lineup, top opening day starter. None of them. And that's no disrespect to someone. I like Casey Mize. And I think Reese Olson is a very good pitcher. But they're not Scooball. So this is going to be a very big offseason for Scott Harris and for Greenberg and for AJ Hinch. They have to identify, and I think at this point it is so clear, if you want to do the old matchups thing that AJ Hinch likes to do, putting Colt Keith against righty pitchers, putting Kerry Carpenter against righty pitchers. If you want to do that, okay, then maybe it'd be better to have not Jahmai Jones as your lefty killer, but I don't know, Alex Bregman as your lefty killer, or some other bat that actually instills some fear into the other team. Because as fun as Jahmai Jones and Andy Ibanez can be, because they're kind of no names and you don't expect them to really do much damage, and they're local heroes, you don't win World Series that way. You can win some baseball games. You can beat some good teams. You can maybe even win some playoff series that way. I mean, heck, the Tigers did. But it's not sustainable. It's not a long-term strategy. And I just really hope that Scott Harris takes a good look in the mirror and understands that, look, if you want to play big games, you got to make big moves. So you got another offseason to make a big move. He has yet to show any capability of making said big move. And to his credit, the team has been a playoff team the last couple of years. I don't think I was expecting that when he took it over. But you got to get better. And if we basically do the same thing again next year, and if this offseason is basically the same deal as it was last year, where it's minor signings of relief pitchers and maybe you sign a 1-year prove-it deal for a bat, I'm just going to start losing interest. It's going to turn into the Red Wings, basically, where you're not doing anything interesting in the offseason, and I have no reason to believe that you will take anything resembling a leap forward that you need to do. So I will allow for Scott Harris to make the moves he's going to make. I'll evaluate them as they are made. But it's going to be a very interesting offseason. And the fate of baseball in Detroit and my own sanity at having to cover said baseball team for an entire summer is dependent on it. So, Scott, please, at least for my own sake, make the team somewhat interesting next year. Make it so that I can have conversations about being the 1 seed or winning the AL Central or winning the World Series, please. Can I have that? Can I do those shows? I like to have fun on the show. Hey, YouTube, if you like clips like that, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We've got live shows every Tuesday night. Hope to see you there.